Sean, I can see you on screen. I see you're laughing because you know Jose. I mean, what's he going to be saying behind the scenes at this point in time?
He'll just be speaking his mind. He would have told the players what he thought of the performance, and I know he would have been raging as any manager would for that penalty decision.
He talked about big clubs and history of trophies. Yet when he took over at Chelsea, the only title Chelsea had won before he came there was back in the 1950s. And I think they'd only won one FA Cup as well, and that was 69-70, I believe. I mean, it was way, way back as well. There wasn't the rich history when he was at Chelsea. They have a history now, obviously. It's a very different landscape. Do you buy into what he's saying, that it's because of the fact that Tottenham aren't as big as, say, a United, a Chelsea, and Arsenal?
No, I just think personally he's being clever. He's a very, very clever man. As you saw how quick he analysed and pulled up stats of the Pogba situations. Like he's very tuned into the things that are happening around him, and he puts a stone out there and lets everybody else do the talking. Do
players ever suggest to him what to say to media? Have you ever given some advice to him or anything? Julian's laughing.
Trust me, he doesn't need any advice. He already knows what's coming and how he wants to answer it.
Julian, you're smiling there. I could see out the corner of my eye. Why are you laughing at that question?
Yeah, I don't think anyone needs to give Jose ammunition or stats. He's a very astute man in regards to his knowledge. Yeah, that was... I don't even know if the question was directed towards the history and the decisions around penalties, but the fact that he had the Pogba example on the tip of his tongue let me know that he was prepared for that regardless. Like, that couldn't have been a reaction to that dire decision because that was the last minute of the game. So that Pogba scenario was already in the forefront of his mind.
Yeah. Well, he's talking about the size of the club based just on trophies. Do you reckon that he will make Tottenham into a powerhouse of some sorts, Sean? Do you reckon he can deliver trophies there? It's been over a decade for them now.
I think he definitely has the capabilities, but at the minute, from what I've seen of Spurs, apart from I think today, I watched the game, I thought they did pretty well. I think it has to be more of that. It has to be consistently good to compete with your teams like your Cities and your Liverpools, and even right now, your Arsenal's been doing well, your Evertons. To compete with teams like that, it has to be consistently good. You can't just have one-off games.
Yeah. Well, he's talking about them being bigger as in trophies, which is undoubtedly the case in this scenario. But what's your advice for any of the Tottenham players, Sean? Because obviously he seems to rule with an iron fist. It's his way or the highway. Dele Alli is facing it right now, not even involved in the matchday squad, I should add. He was asked about his future right at the end of the interview as well. What's the advice you could give to any of the players and how Mourinho likes to do things?
For me, I just think it's the same as any manager. Jolien will tell you, there's some things you might not agree with. But if a manager puts out a tactics and he wants you to play a certain way, at the end of the day, he's your boss. Follow the procedures. If it doesn't work in the tactics the way that he's picked and he wants you to play, then it's a responsibility that him as a manager will take on because you've executed exactly what he wants. So for me, I would just say, if this is how he wants you to play it, go out and play the way he wants you to play.
When he left Chelsea, were players crying in the same way Materazzi was crying at the team bus when Mourinho left Italy to go to Spain?
Yeah, there was a few players crying, but it was the end of a great period at Chelsea. And like you said, he came in and brought something that Chelsea hadn't had, and he made the team into a family.
Interesting. I mean, the reason I asked about the advice to give the players was I found it very interesting, Jolien. Before the match, Steve Bruce was talking about Joe Linton, saying that Joe Linton needs confidence. Joe Linton needs effectively an arm around the shoulder, not to be beaten with a stick. It seems to be the antithesis of what Mourinho does as a manager, you know?
Yeah, obviously different managers have different approaches, and who are we to kind of determine which way Mourinho needs to manage? He's been so successful. I do think there has been a period in his career where he could have took a softer approach to get a better reaction from players, but over the longevity of his career, he's made the right decisions more often than not. In regards to what Sean said, I agree. If a manager's asking you to do certain things that you don't agree with, you have to do them, because it just leaves less room and less criticism if things don't go so well and you've done it the way you've been asked to, rather than doing it your way. It doesn't go well. You're kind of leaving yourself to be exposed.
Sean, is there any particular moment when you went to Chelsea and you met Jose Mourinho? Is there any point in time that makes you think this man knows exactly what he's doing? Is there a specific scenario that made you believe?
Yeah, most definitely. And I always use this example. We was playing Spurs, and if I remember correctly, it was the cup. And he said in training, like, it must have been Wednesday or Thursday, he came up and he said, look, I'm not going to start you this weekend, but if we're losing at halftime, you're going to come on, we're going to draw the game, and then we'll go to White Hart Lane and we'll win. And it literally, like, happened exactly like that. And he was always so forward thinking, even with his training sessions. You would already be preparing for the game the weekend after, by the end of the week of the game coming up.